Welcome back, my dedicated Spartans, and today we're breaking down Stamp Fairtex. Now, Stamp has been a two-time world champion in kickboxing and in Muay Thai inside the ONE FC Fighting Championship, and she's moved over to MMA. She's made that transition, and she said she's going to focus more so on that now. She desires to become the MMA Atomweight champion inside of ONE FC. So we're going to break her down. Now, for starters, we're going to start off with the most important strikes, and the most important strike is the setup strike, which is the jab. That would be in boxing and also in MMA. However, there's a bit of a variance you can use in Thai and in kickboxing, and that would be the lead kick, or the teep kick as people call it. Now, the reason I'm going to break down the kick is because Stamp does not come out with the jab. Never. I've not seen her open any of her fights where she comes out jabbing, trying to find the jab, or even using the jab to measure. What Stamp, her primary first strike that she throws is going to be that rear leg check kick. It's thrown like a roundhouse kick to the leg, but it's a check kick, and the difference is, Joseph Valtellini talks a lot about this as well. When she throws her check kick, you don't throw a check kick with full power, and you don't always pivot. When you throw a roundhouse kick, you're going to step off the center line with your lead leg, and then you're going to rotate when you kick with your rear leg. When you throw the check kick, you keep that shoulder in front defensively. You don't always step off the center line. You're just trying to measure. So she'll tap with that, pop on the leg a couple of times. Sometimes she'll throw her lead leg into a low kick against her opponent's lead leg. But that's how she always comes out. She comes out, actually, she's not very bouncy. Stamp comes out rather flat-footed. She isn't jumping around and moving a lot. I talked about Rose Namajunas and Zhang. Zhang always comes out bouncing. Rose comes out, you guys know her footwork. She's always moving, always looking for that angle. So that's her primary weapon she's going to throw first. It's going to be that check kick off of her rear leg. Now, sometimes when she comes out, after throwing that check kick a couple of times, she's going to throw her lead leg check kick as well. It's going to be an inside low kick. And what she's doing when she does this, usually she'll find her range, she'll find her distance, and then she'll wait for her opponent to throw something. Stamp is kind of hard to describe at the style of fighter she is. She likes being in her opponent's face, but she's not necessarily a pressure fighter. She's not constantly trying to throw pressure. She's not constantly trying to get on the inside. She's always trying to hit. And she's defensive with her movement. She doesn't use a lot of head movement, though. So if I could describe her Thai, I'd say she's a bit of a Muay mat, which means she likes to throw low kicks and she likes to throw right hands. She's not out there trying to throw hooks. She's not trying to throw combinations against her opponent. She's focused on finding a way to land that big right hand. Now, aside from throwing that lead kick to the inside, what Stamp will often do is she'll feint off of it. And that's one thing that I would actually love to see more out of Stamp. I think one of her biggest weaknesses is she doesn't set up a lot of her strikes with feints. She always tries to counter-strike her opponent, which is she's not always moving properly for that. Like I said, she's really flat-footed. Sometimes she's too close when she's feinting, or too close when she's trying to counter-strike. But she will use her lead leg to feint. She'll feint a knee off that lead leg, and then she'll go into a roundhouse kick to the body, which she has some success with in her title fight against Rodriguez. Now, after that, the other thing Stamp likes to do when she gets to close distance, when she's in a kickboxing or a Thai match, is she'll throw her right hand. And when she throws the right hand, whether it lands or whether it misses, she's going to take her left hand and grab her opponent's right arm, and then she'll pull them into that clinch, or pull them to the side, pull their right arm down. Then she'll take her head up to get that clinch, and then she'll start throwing bombs. On the inside, she doesn't throw a whole lot of knees. She doesn't throw a whole lot of elbows. She's not very versatile on the inside. The big thing she's trying to do is land that right hand of a hand, or that right bomb of a hand. And most of her fighting is to set that up. The other thing that she does is when her opponent throws her kick, throws their check kick, she'll check it sometimes, she'll block it a couple times. And this is one thing that Stamp is really good at, is the timing. She reads timing of her opponent's kicks very well. And she's always looking for that right kick to come. When that right kick comes, she'll grab that kick, she'll time it, she'll grab that right kick, and then she'll bomb you with right hands. Now, in her Thai matches and kickboxing matches at least, you're not allowed to hold onto that leg to keep your opponent off balance. You're allowed to block it, and I guess you're allowed to grab it. If you let it go right away quickly, the ref won't do anything, but you're not allowed to hold on to it. which is difficult for Stamp because that's what a lot of her game is set up to do. She wants to get control of that leg and then start throwing her right hands. Now, her jab, like I said before, she doesn't lead with it and she doesn't use it to measure a whole lot, but defensively, she uses it very, very well. And the second round of her fight with Rodriguez, you saw her do this very effectively. She was able to land multiple 1-2s as Rodriguez tried to pressure her. And pressure is one of the things that Stamp has a bit of a problem with. When her opponents pressure her, especially for inside fighting, that's one of her weaknesses. But when she's able to read her opponent coming in, that's where she did really well. She landed 1-2s, moving backwards against her opponent, which is actually a very difficult thing to do. I myself have problem fighting off of my back foot, so I know how difficult it is to learn. So that lets you know that she does have some elite skills. Now, if her opponent tries to clinch up with her and pressure her, Stamp likes to always move to her right to escape. Whether her back's against the ropes or whether she's in a corner, she's going to look to get her hand, post one hand on her opponent and push herself away. I do this a lot when we're wrestling in class. Is one thing our coach told us. He said you want to push off their head with your lead hand, because where their head goes, the body goes, and then push away from them. And that's how she seeks to escape. Now, this is where she will sometimes throw elbows. If she gets captured on the inside, she'll throw that right elbow and, you know, rotate her entire body, pushing herself to push away from her opponent. And basically, that's how her kickboxing and how her Thai matches go. She doesn't throw a whole lot of combos. Everything she does is to set up the right hand or to set up her right kick. Now, one of the reasons Stamp's feints do work so well is because Stamp is all about power, power, power. Stamp very rarely throws anything lightly. She doesn't like to touch her opponent up and then throw power occasionally to try and trick them or deceive them. You know what's coming each and every time. She's going to seek to throw a hard right hand, or she's going to seek to throw a hard right kick. She won her first MMA match with the right kick to the head.
And fair to say you've been impressed, and that's probably why. My goodness me, my buddy.
If the opening presents itself, she's going to take advantage of it. And she's going to blitz forward. She's going to go extremely hard. One of the reasons I think that she's a huge fan favorite. It's not just her personality that's likable. Her style of fighting is what a lot of people like. She's always looking for a finish. Now, we transition over to her MMA. This is where a lot of Stamp skills really shine. And I'm glad that she recently said she's going to focus mainly on MMA, because I think with the style of fighting she has, she can do really well. Now, again, when she comes out in MMA, she comes out very similar to the way she does in kickboxing and Thai. The only difference I've seen is when Stamp fights an MMA match, she's a lot more aggressive. She's a lot more volume. She has a lot more volume with her strike that she throws. She comes out the same way with that right low kick, looking to set it up, timing her opponent's kicks coming back for her. And this is where her timing works in her favor. Remember when I said she likes to grab that leg of her opponent and then blitz forward? Well, in MMA, she's allowed to hold onto the leg. She doesn't have to worry about putting it down. The ref telling her that. She'll grab the leg and she'll often push her opponent up against the cage. And from there, she'll start throwing bombs. And she can keep on throwing on the inside. If her opponent ties her up in the clinch and gets underhooks, Stamp does not fight the underhook that much. She'll take overhooks instead, and then she'll turn her body perpendicular to her opponent like she's going to hip throw them. But instead of hip throwing, Stamp likes to turn her hips perpendicular to her opponent and take her head down. She's very good at getting head position. Put it on her opponent's chest, and then she'll sweep the lead leg of her opponent and push them back. And that's how she gets most of her takedowns. She doesn't shoot for double legs. She'll either grab the leg on a kick and push forward, and if her opponent tries to turn away, she'll take the back control, or like I said, she'll get overhooks, push that head back, and sweep the leg down. Now from here, no matter how Stamp gets you on the ground, she has one goal in mind, and she goes for it every time. She wants to get top control. Once she puts her opponent, if she puts her opponent down on the ground from the sweep, she'll get side control first. She wants to get control of the leg that's right in front of her. And once she does that, she gets her hips underneath her opponent. She seeks to get that right leg underneath. Once she has control of her opponent's hips, that's when she'll step over her opponent, and then she'll be in full mount. Now from here, she likes to scoot up to the chest of her opponent, which I really like, because when she does that, she tries to get control of her opponent's arms. Her knees take away the arms of her opponent, so they can't really fight her there. She'll push the head down against the ground, creating some space and some distance, and then she'll start throwing right hands against her opponent. She doesn't throw a whole lot of elbows on the inside. Sometimes she does, but even when she does, what I like about her style is she creates that space. She creates space. And she's very patient when she's looking for that finish. She's still, like I said, a lot more aggressive when she's fighting MMA, but she's patient enough to create the distance. A lot of people rush forward, and that's how they lose control of their opponents. But Stamp likes to pin that head down, get that distance, and hit him. And in her fight with Roca, when she pinned her against the cage, Roca was in a whole lot of trouble. Now, the downside of being so high on her opponent is if you buck, you can't escape out the back. But Stamp is right back on top of you and looking for the same thing. In her latest MMA fight, when she took back control of her opponent, again, Stamp stays pretty composed when she's on her back. Her grappling is actually very good. She won a lot of the grappling exchanges against the superior grappler. You can see right here, Stamp's back is against the cage, and as her opponent attempts to spin out, Stamp lowers her leg and makes a smooth transition to the top, using her opponent's momentum against them. And from here, she has top control where she can either rain down ground and pound, or escape back to the feet. And in this position, that what she chose to do was escape back to her feet. So to do a very quick review of Stamp, how does she start? She comes out pretty flat-footed and patient in her Muay Thai and her kickboxing matches, seeking to throw that outside low kick to set up that big right hand. Sometimes she'll throw the inside low kick to set up a right round kick to the body, or if it presents itself, a roundhouse kick to the head. Not a whole lot of volume from Stamps, very patient, very nice, very calm, very subtle. But at the same time, everything she throws with power. Defensive-wise, Stamp prefers to use her footwork. She doesn't like to use a whole lot of head movement. She doesn't do a whole lot of blocks, and she doesn't throw a lot of counter strikes in terms of kicks. When she punches, she seeks to counter. When moving backwards, Stamp's best weapons are that 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Even the teep kick, she doesn't throw it a whole lot to set anything up. She often throws it just to keep her opponent at distance. Her biggest strength to me is how well she can read her opponent's timing. Stamp gets the timing of her opponent's kick set up very well. If she applies the same way that she understands the timing of her opponent's kicks to the way when her opponents are trying to move in on her, I feel Stamp can do even better. Since she said she's going to focus on MMA, which I'm very glad to hear about because I'm a big fan of Stamp and I think she is very good in her division. If she just applies a little bit more versatility in her striking, what I would like to see from Stamp that I think would make her even better than she already is if she uses more feints and sets up her strikes more. Very often blitzing in on an opponent works really well, especially if they're a very young and immature fighter, because they can't handle the pressure that you put on them right away. But against more seasoned veterans, that's going to be much more difficult, especially when they know what's coming from you and if they have a good coach to set up a game plan to defeat what you're doing. I feel Rodriguez did very well with Stamp when she fought her and pressured her back. You know, she tried to bully Stamp a little bit, especially on the inside. But Stamp's great strength is her understanding of timing and her understanding of her own power. You know, she knows when she's got her opponent hurt and she knows how to put the pressure on them. Aside from that, I think Stamp has the potential to be champion inside of ONE FC. I am going to break down Angela Lee later on. I'm also going to break down who I think would win a fight between Angela Lee and Stamp Fairtex, as it seems that on the horizon, that's a fight that's coming up. So thanks for watching the breakdown, guys. Let me know what you think. Please let me know who you'd like to see me break down next. Click the subscribe button, like the video, and share it. And be on the lookout because next time we're going to be breaking down Khamzat Chimaev and how good I think he is and how far I think that he will go inside of MMA and inside the UFC. Thanks for watching.